In the language of economics, they're both going to be demand and supply. So this tells me, if you're against Jose, I don't understand why you're not also against Matilda. If you think that Jose has adverse economic consequences and he's coming for your job, so's Matilda. And she's an American. So the point is, once you realize the starting point, and this is a very human starting point, an immigrant is a person, but so is a natural-born American. This is not a moral statement. They both have the same role in our economics. They buy stuff and they sell stuff. So when people talk about really adverse consequences of immigration, it's almost always because they're thinking about Jose works, but they don't realize that Jose also buys stuff. And they think about Matilda as having done both. So they're not understanding immigrants are both demand and supply. The implication of all of this is actually pretty straightforward. It says you can have a country that has a lot of people and it's pretty successful. That's what the United States is. Just like you can have a country that doesn't have very many people and is very successful. That's what Australia is. So to a first order, and I understand I haven't taken everything into account yet, but to a first order, immigration is neither a huge threat nor a huge boom to the United States. So now we can start to get into the complications. And I can go into as many complications as you want, Ed. It's a question of how long you want me to yammer for. So let's say Jose came into the country at age 20. The thing is, Matilda, my daughter, went through the public education system and got $20,000 a year worth of tax subsidies for 20 years to be a fully educated adult. If Jose came in at age 20, we didn't pay any of that. So therefore, fiscally, Matilda is worse for the American people than Jose. If Jose came into the country at age 65, that's when people start to draw on a lot of our social services. Then that's when you start to be really expensive, right? And so that would be more fiscally costly than Matilda, if she'd gone all the way through life, spending a lot on taxes and so on, right? Now, one more thing. If Jose doesn't have papers, he'll go through his life actually paying Social Security taxes. About half of all immigrants actually pay Social Security taxes on fake numbers. But you can't get paid Social Security on a fake number. So he will have done all the spending and get nothing out, and therefore he's in fact subsidizing the Social Security of the rest of us.
Just along the lines of the immigration, I was fascinated. Milton Friedman once said something, and it kind of foots to what you're talking about. I don't think Democrats or Republicans have a problem with ICE showing up to prisons and taking convicted criminals and deporting them. I think pretty much that's bipartisan support. But when you see them raiding Home Depots and schools and churches, you think, well, that's kind of telling that people who have jobs and are working and going to church and school, are those really the people we want to kick out? And it reminds me of what Milton Friedman said maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago. He said the dirty secret of immigration is, while a lot of Americans will say that immigration is the secret to our success, he said the most profitable part of immigration is illegal immigration. And it got me thinking, okay, to your point, these folks come in, they pay taxes, but they don't collect social services. They're actually less inclined to call the police or have the police called on them. They commit crimes at a lower rate than domestic citizens. And when the work dries up, there's this flexible workforce that melts back to Latin America or Central America, that this is the most profitable, flexible workforce in history. That this is, it's not not only does immigration make us stronger, but illegal immigration, there's a reason we have ignored it for so long, and that is it is exceptionally profitable.
And why it was advocated for by the Republicans. I mean, to be clear, I'm not advocating for it, but this was kind of a lot of Reagan's idea too.
So there's so many moral issues when it comes to folks who work without papers. So I find it hard to be either for or against.
Yeah.
Let me actually I want to pick up on one interesting part of the economics of all of this. The ICE raids now mean that the employer of undocumented workers can threaten them even more. I'm going to pay you $2 an hour or I'm calling ICE. That means of course, now these folks are actually an even greater competitive threat to working class natives.